It was so authentic.
You can breathe now. Welcome to Indie Business Club, the podcast for independent creatives, freelancers, founders, and business owners. She's Mel Barfield.
And he's Ben McKinney, and we're both copywriters and business owners sharing tips and advice we've picked up along the way. This episode is called Frankly Mr Shankly, and we're talking about getting and showing off customer testimonials. On this show, we'll discuss how testimonials can be your single best marketing tool, ways to showcase them so they have an impact, and how to ask clients for them in a way that doesn't feel icky.
And as always, we'll have a voice note on today's theme. And listener, believe you me, it's not your average voice note today. And today's Your Friends and Mine are just going to be the lovely listeners who've messaged us in about these topics and had loads of contributions.
This is going to be a feel-good episode because we have had loads of people message in. We can't get through all of them, so there'll probably be a part 2.
But Mel, before we get into things, can I just say this? This episode is supported by Pro Copywriters CopyCon. This year, the conference for professional writers takes place in Manchester on the 2nd and 3rd of October. We'll be there on the 3rd, along with friend of the show, Dave Harland. Hello to Dave. And you can save 10% on all ticket bundles with the code IBC10. That's IBC10 at copywritingconference.com.
Some would call it Indigo Bravo Charlie 10.
Sounds like
you went for.
Sounds like you've been reading like Andy McNabb books and giving us now like army communication codes, that kind of thing.
A very, very niche spaced reference. I'm Andy McNabb. I'm Andy McNabb. Those who know will know. Anyway, Ben, testimonials. Discuss. Are you any good at getting them? I am absolutely terrible at asking for them.
Oh, I'm hit and miss. I'm quite streaky. I'll go through like patches where I never ask customers for testimonials and then suddenly be like, need to get some testimonials in. So I'll then go back and send out, a big mail shot to people I've worked with over the past 2 years and say, remember that great project we did for you
2 years ago?
How's it going? And by the way, can we have a testimonial, please? It's not the best way to get them. It's not always easy to get them, is it, as well? I think you probably need a strategy. Or I think one of the things I thought about a while ago, which never actually implemented, was popping it in the contract, kind of making it a contracted thing at the start of a project that you come away afterwards.
Does that make it feel a bit less like authentic if you force them? Can I really quickly just make a correction for about 10 seconds ago when I said indigo? It's actually India. And I knew it as I said it. I knew it as I said it and I thought, oh no, I've made a terrible error. And I've just checked. So
I mean, I didn't notice. I wonder whether any of our listeners did, but there we go.
Anyway, I don't think I would want to put it in my contract. It would seem a little bit, then I'd be like, oh, they're only saying that because they have to, because it's in the contract. And would you ever then go, excuse me, per our contract, you owe me a testimonial?
No.
I think it's worth saying in advance, like, it would be much appreciated, but not in a contract, I don't think. Onboarding, yes. Contract, nah.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk a little bit more as the show goes on about how they can sometimes feel a bit icky to get from people. I think I'm with you on the contract thing. I think it would feel a bit, I don't think I'd ever go back and say, as per the contract, like you say, we've got to get one.
Clause 75 says.
Let's get straight into the voice note.
I was going to say we've got to get this in early because, listener, you will realise why we need to start the process of this voice note early. Today, it's from our friend Dave Officer. He's a graphic designer, event speaker, and the enormous brain behind Doodle Juice Design. You can find Dave on LinkedIn and Instagram at Doodle Juice Design, and his website is doodlejuice.co.uk. It's a brilliant place to visit if you're ever in need of some creative inspiration.
Now, if you're a regular listener, you'll know that normally our voice notes are around 1 to 2 minutes long. But Dave is so creative and he gives so much value. And I do know this because having worked with him, he designed the Copy or Die logo. He sent us a much longer voice note than usual. It's almost the length of the entire show. So we can't play it all, but there is so much good stuff in there that we've asked producer Ant to just let it play underneath our audio. So Dave's just going to be chattering away while we talk. And then when he gets to the many good bits, we'll fade him up. So let's start.
Yeah. And do your thing.
Hello, Mel and Ben. How the bloomin' hell are you both? Thanks for asking me to leave a little voice recording on your glorious podcast. So if we're talking about testimonials, I thought I'd go back to when I was starting freelancing and tell you about what I used to do, because I'm pretty bad at gathering them these days. I don't quite know why. This has kind of prompted me to ask that question now that I'm talking about it. But there was something that I did early in the old freelancing days that worked quite well. So when I was starting out and was doing jobs for people and they were going well, and I knew I had to start collecting these things, but I really didn't want to ask for them. There was something about it that just felt icky. And I think that's something a lot of people feel why they probably don't ask for them. So I kind of took myself aside aggressively and tried to figure out what it was I didn't like about asking for them and how I could potentially come up with a method to circumvent that sort of inner disdain that I had for it. And I realized that I didn't like asking for them because it's the act of taking something from someone. You know, you give by delivering the work and then you end the project by then taking something. So it's felt like a real odd way to end that relationship with the client. Not end it, you know what I mean? Like end a project. You're ending a project by taking something. I give you the work that you've paid me for. And, oh, by the way, I'm just going to take a testimonial from you. And then they give you that and you go, okay, bye. And then you scurry off into the bushes or wherever it is you dwell. So that was the thing about it that I didn't like. I didn't like ending this sort of interaction with someone by just taking something from them and buggering off. So I thought, right, there's got to be a way around that so it doesn't feel like I'm just this sort of thief right at the end. You should really be, anybody with a conscience and anybody who really wants to be running their business well wants to end that transaction with giving something. You know, you've been paid for, you know, you want to be ending it by giving, not taking. So that was the thing I was having some problem with. And also the abruptness of it. The project ends and I'm ending it straight away by saying, hey, give me, tell me how good I am. And then I'm going to go away. So nothing about it felt right for me. So I kind of thought, right, how can I shift this? So what I did was, firstly, to end that sort of the abrupt nature of just asking at it straight for the end, I put a little bit of a buffer in. So
I haven't thought of it that way, Ben, and that does explain a bit of the grossness, because it does feel gross to me and other people. I put this question out there about testimonials and if people ask for them. And a friend of the show, Gemma Strangs, was like, oh man, I need this episode bad. I'm such an awkward egg when it comes to asking for testimonials. And I think maybe Dave's hit the nail on the head. It's because you're even. You've handed over the work. They've paid you. You are then even. But then you're asking for something. So then it's like you are asking them to do a little bit of extra work when everything was equal because you've done the work and they'd paid you.
Yeah, I've never thought of it like that. Yeah, I can't say I've thought of it like that. But I get it. And it does feel like, see, this is why I said maybe about putting it in the contract, because then it's kind of agreed at the start, like, and you perhaps wouldn't feel like you're asking to unequalize the relationship. But like we said, then maybe that feels even more icky to have it in at the start. Like, you will say something good about me at the end.
Actually, it just reminded me of something. Jodie Newman, another friend of the show. Hi, Jodie. It was in a creative session like a few years ago now. She was basically trying to get people to think completely opposite. Like, what if at the beginning of a contract or a piece of work with someone, you ask them to write the testimonial then, as in, like, imagine that we're at the end of the project. Please write me a testimonial based on what you want the outcome to be and how you want us working together to have felt. And you agree at the beginning that you'll check in and make sure that you have fulfilled that. It almost becomes like your promise to them is that they will be able to say these things and mean it. And I thought it was really interesting. You know what Jodie's like. She thinks things differently.
Yeah, that's a great one. I like that because that then gives you that almost like accountability throughout the project. Because we do that from on the other, if we flip that the other way, we kind of do that where when we've had a discovery call with somebody, quite often we'll refer back to that and say, look, this is what you wanted. If there's some inevitable pushback at some point, you go, no, this is remember what we talked about at the start. This is what you wanted. And actually weighting it in their favor a little bit and saying, look, what does real success in this project look like? How do you feel if this project's gone well? And then referencing that as you go through, and then hopefully they sign it off.
And checking in and going, are we still on track for you to
thought about
feel
that one at all.
Oh no, isn't she clever? Clever egg.
Lee James said an interesting thing in one of the replies to your post was that sometimes people don't realise the weight that a testimonial would carry towards a freelancer and how much value it offers. But she also said that even if a project's gone well, even if there's good feedback along the way, lots of thanks when the project's been wrapped up, if you then ask for a testimonial and don't get a reply, that can leave you feeling kind of negative, that can bring up these kind of almost imposter-like feelings. So I wonder if it's almost like that fear of rejection why we don't then go back often and ask for a testimonial at the end of the project.
The other thing, I can't remember which episode we talked about this, ghosting. For one, if I'm asked for a testimonial, I don't just whack it out and send it. If I'm asked by someone else for one, I will need to set aside time to properly think about it and do it justice. And that might be one of the reasons that people don't do it. But we think, in our minds, if we've asked for one and they don't reply, it's because they definitely hate us. They definitely hate us and never want to work with us again, ashamed of ever putting their trust and money in us. We're our own worst enemy sometimes with thinking things that are completely untrue. And Jo Shock says that she counts on there always being a percentage of people who simply don't get... Sorry, I should have said friend of the show, Jo Shock.
Another voice noter.
Another voice noter. Haven't we got great mates? I count on there being a percentage of people that simply don't get around to it. Sometimes I ask them more than once, as I know it's not their top priority. And I appreciate nudges and nags and reminders. So we shouldn't be afraid to give them.
I can feel a little bit embarrassing, though, if you keep going back.
Hi. Remember me?
Yeah, did that job.
Please love me.
Did you like it?
I guess no worries if not. Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's a balance in making it easy for them and not writing it out for them. Making it easy for them to send you one that sounds real.
I do not like it when people ask me to write it. We'll come to that in a bit, though. We had loads of really good advice, and she's got such a good name, Stacey Alexo.
That's a pop star name.
I'm hoping I've pronounced it right. Sorry, Stacey, if I didn't. She has a comprehensive article that we'll link to in the show notes. And as she points out, people won't automatically hand them over. You have to make it easy for them. And that's definitely something that I feel as somebody who gets asked for them sometimes. Make it as easy as possible, please, without writing it and saying, can you just sign this off as if you said it? That's too easy. You need a little bit.
A lot of the replies were about how even if you get one back from a client, they can sound dry and really formal. So what we've done at Copy or Die is I think it was Eddie Schlainer who gave us the little heads up on this. It's a Mel. What do you call one of those things that you put onto your...
Plug-in.
There you go.
Plug-in. I'm a bit scared of LinkedIn plugins and things. I'm always a bit like, oh, is it gonna?
It's a plugin for your web browser.
It hasn't done Eddie any harm, so.
Yeah, and it's good. I think it's called Testimonial.io, and it's a plugin for your web browser. And you can basically then, when somebody says something nice about you on LinkedIn, you can grab it. I'm sure it must work on other sites as well, but don't quote me on that. Dave set all this up.
Other software is available.
It grabs something nice that people have said about you on LinkedIn, and then it's really easy to showcase it. So on Copy or Die, on our website, we've got a wall of remembrance, as we call it, which is all the nice things people have said about us on LinkedIn. And it's great because people aren't thinking that they're leaving you a formal testimonial. They're just saying how they're feeling about something they've read of yours. Exactly. They haven't overthought it. So it's quite a nice creative way of showcasing them. And it seems a little bit more authentic. And
nice and natural.
Adrian Elton sent you something really cool on LinkedIn as well. He grabs, as he calls them, SMS messages, which is fantastically...
He is our
back.
People, isn't he?
I love the fact that he must have a dumb phone. He's using his old Nokia, playing Snake and reading SMS text messages from people that he's worked with. But he said...
I like the idea he's taking a photo of the screen because you can't screenshot on a Nokia 3310.
But he sent us, we'll have to link to it in the show notes. He sent us a screenshot of all of the text messages that people have said that he's put into an image and then puts on his website. But he said the raw responses to work are much more powerful than fruity informal paragraphs that make me glaze over. And I think that's what we're trying to get to in it. When if somebody says to you, write me a testimonial, you immediately go into this kind of like, working with Ben was great fun. And it can seem a little bit
Ben elevated
inauthentic.
And our friend, and she's written for Copy or Die as well a few times, I think. Amy Hawthorne, she said the same thing about how if you can grab the snippets of conversation as they're happening anyway, then that is so much more, I don't want to say organic, but it's much more real. And then you don't have to have the gross thing of asking. Though I think she does also ask for the Google My Business reviews as well. Yeah,
that's a good idea if you've got a Google business listing. Although they can seem a little bit... Anybody can leave one, even if they haven't worked with you. I had one in a previous business. I had a bad one from somebody I'd never met before.
Ben smells. Sorry about that. I was only a joke. I tried to delete it, but you didn't let me.
This is why we work online. Now, I love working with Amy, and actually I owe Amy a testimonial because she's done 2 projects for us this year and they've both been exceptional.
You haven't given her one.
And I haven't done one, so I need to do you a testimonial, Amy.
Of course, Amy could also leave you a testimonial, Ben, because they can go both ways. Let's see if Dave has any thoughts on this.
So a way that shows that I'm actually catching up with the person. So 3 months have finished. I'm catching up to see if everything actually did go well now that some time has passed. So the work that I delivered for you, you will have had time now to properly implement that. And you will have also had time to think if there's anything else you might have wanted bolted onto it. So the follow-up email essentially goes, how's it going? Had a great time working for you a few months back. I just wanted to check that everything went well. And if there's anything else I can do for you or anything else you've thought of since then, I'll be happy to help, which can sometimes just prompt another little initial idea with them. So it often ended up bringing in a little bit more additional work at the end. But the other thing is, rather than just then asking, there's also a bit of a reciprocal thing that you could do with testimonials because, and if you're familiar with how the recommendations work on LinkedIn, when you go to leave a recommendation for someone, there is a drop-down menu and you select in what capacity you've worked with that person. So you've either done work for them or you've been a client of theirs. So you can leave a client some feedback, a testimonial, a recommendation, just telling people that they are exceptional to work with in whatever side of the transaction they happen to have landed on. And I think that speaks volumes when you're looking at someone's profile. You're not just seeing how well they act when they're being paid, but to see that someone actually conducts themselves incredibly well when they are the payer as opposed to the payee on both sides of the transaction. I think that's actually really useful. So a lot of people are interested in that as well. Now, in saying that, 9 times out of 10, people wouldn't expect me to reciprocate the testimonial from client side. They would just, offer to do one for me, which is great. And then I would also get some work off the back of it. So that's what worked really well for me. I gave it a little bit of time, went back, asked for the testimonial, offered to write one for them at the same time. So I don't feel like I'm just taking, I'm also giving. And at the same time, you can also catch up on how the project actually went and if there's anything additional that they might want as a result of the initial project now that some time has passed. So that worked out really, really well for me. The other thing with testimonials is when you're leaving them for people. And I like to, again, put a decent amount of detail into a testimonial when I leave it for someone and leave something highly specific. A lot of testimonials can end up being or sounding quite generic. Person A was fantastic to work with, and I would highly recommend anyone who wants a project in A, B, C, blah, 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 fall asleep, blah, blah, blah. I think it's much more useful for the person you're leaving a testimonial.
We should leave each other LinkedIn testimonials. I bet you've got loads of LinkedIn testimonials,
2 or something. I haven't got many at all. I never ask for them. Or I've asked them once and I never chase it up. And we did have one in from lovely Jeremy Freeman about the show. Do you remember? He left us one.
That was really nice,
thoughtful testimony. That was about our YouTube
channel.
Our
YouTube channel.
Which is I can't remember. It's not. I think it's Indie Business Club Pod.
I think it's Indie Business Club Pod? Yeah,
I don't know, Google it.
I think so. Search Indie Business Club on YouTube.
It's in the show notes. It's in the show notes.
Our facial reactions. No, I've never given one. I think I've got a couple. I got one recently from a guy that like literally connected and then had a like recommendation or a testimonial immediately. I didn't really know how to react to them.
I do think it's important to big up the client, though, if you can big up the client a little bit, because there's some clients are dreadful, and freelance, by the way, if you're a dreadful client, we're going to talk about you behind your back. Freelancers have an incredible whisper network where we share horror stories. But if you're a freelancer and you leave the client a testimonial to say that they were really nice to work with, then that's a pretty good green flag for others.
It was one of the things we hoped we might get at Copy or Die when we set up, was the fact that we wanted to be this really good place for freelancers to find work. And then we hoped that people might talk about that and say, if you're looking for work, these are great people to work with. Almost as an accountability thing, because we felt like we wanted to set some standards for ourselves as how we treated people. But also as a marketing thing, like the marketing doesn't just go that one way. Exactly like you said, it does go a couple of ways. And if you can show yourself as a great client, I think that should hopefully then permeate through your whole organization, but that can then be attractive to other people who might become clients for you.
I liked what Dave was saying about it being a little nudge. If you leave it 3 months, as he's got his little 3-month rule, then when you're checking in again, not only are you giving them something in the form of a nice testimonial, but you can kind of go, oh, and also let me know how that piece of work that I did for you, whatever it is going, or if you need anything else from me. And it can then prompt a little bit extra.
Yeah, might get some extra work
on the
from
subject
it.
of prompting people to do things, quick request: if you're enjoying the show, please subscribe. Get your phone out now and subscribe. And you'll get nudged when we put out a new episode. I love getting those push notifications that say a new episode's come out. It never gets old. I love it. Or if you feel like sending us a testimonial about the show, we would love it. It's show@indiebusinessclub.com. I felt a bit gross even asking for that. Why am I like this?
Well, I'm just glad that you did it, not me.
So let's talk a bit about why you should gather testimonials. Well, I like to be told that I've done a good job. I'm a middle child. I don't hide this fact. I need praise at all times. Ben, tell me that I'm doing well.
Doing a great job on this episode. You read out that request for testimonials so well.
I ruined it afterwards by saying that I felt gross. Anyway, Gemma Champ commented on the post that I put on LinkedIn about testimonials. She loves them because they reassure her that she's not being totally useless. And it's a massive selling point, being good to work with. And most of the testimonials that she gets help tell that story, that she's good to work with. And that's that social proof thing as well. Robert, I'm going to try and pronounce his name. I'm going to get it wrong. Robert Cialdini, do you like my Italian accent? Talks about this in his book Influence. Because, we've still got tribal instincts. We don't want to stray from what the rest of the pack is doing. So when people are shown to be putting their trust in someone and saying they did a good job, that's reassuring to us on a very basic level, that we don't want to take a risk on someone that could be a complete rogue option, wildcard option that might mess it all up. These people all think that this person did a good job, therefore that's probably a good bet for us to go after them.
Yeah, I think as well, this is true on something like Amazon, but also in small businesses and freelancer websites. I think often a testimonial will actually tell you something that the sales copy doesn't. On Amazon, where so much stuff comes from abroad and maybe there's a language barrier in terms of the people that are actually selling, quite often there isn't enough information in the sales copy, and a testimonial or a review on Amazon, for example, will tell you, will give you the information you're looking for but can't find elsewhere. But I also think that's the case on freelancer websites or small business websites. Whereas a lot of those are produced by the person who runs the business, especially you might have written your own sales copy. And we hear even copywriters all the time saying, why is writing about your own business, why is writing your own sales copy so hard? That actually, because you're too involved and you know everything so well, you kind of gloss over stuff which is quite important. And it's the reviews that will tell you, as somebody looking in, often this person's good to work with, exactly like what Gemma said. And that's what we look for, even though we ask for examples of people's work. Often we're looking at testimonials as well and seeing how other agencies have worked with them. But yeah, it's the fact that they might miss out something really crucial that you're looking for as a buyer. And then the testimonial, somebody will mention it. They were good at this or this happened. You think, there it is. That's what I need. And so that's why it's really important. And then the other benefit of that is if you get them in and you're savvy enough to look at your customer testimonials, that can tell you what your clients are looking for and help you shape your marketing in the future as well.
And that's something that with larger brands, especially when they've got review sites, Trust Pilot and all that kind of thing, that it's really useful for the brand to look through that. And then they can identify where they've got lower ratings, what the problem is and how they can improve on it. A quick note on Amazon. I've read that if a product has all 5-star reviews, people are a bit suspicious of that. So they actually favour like the 4 point. Yeah,
like
they
psychology thing, isn't it?
4.8, 4.9 instead. We're weird.
Is that because it looks fake, do you think? That it's just almost too good to be true?
Suspiciously high reviews. So it must be bots or something. I want to just have a micro moan. It's not strong enough for a rant. This is just a little moan. Is when I get asked to write the testimonial myself about me. And I completely understand because people are busy and they want it to be as useful as possible to me. Therefore, in their minds, they think, well, you can literally write whatever you want to highlight as your thing that you want to promote yourself on. Just write what you like. And we'll just say, yeah, we wrote that. I don't like it because firstly, I genuinely want to know what the experience has been like for the client so I can, improve. I miss out on that learning opportunity. If there's anything with a genuine testimonial, like you said just now, there might be little nuggets that you can learn from. And it also feels a bit fake and false to brag about something nice that someone has said if you've written it yourself. It just feels a little bit ill. So a better approach is to be structured in how you ask. So you could say, for example, I'm especially looking for testimonials at the moment that highlight what my communication is like, or like give them a steer. Because I think if you just go, can I have a testimonial? You will get a very dry and boring, very boring thing. And actually, Dave talks a little bit about how it's useful to have specificity. Should we check where we're up to?
The other thing with testimonials is when you're leaving them for people. And I like to, again, put a decent amount of detail into a testimonial when I leave it for someone and leave something highly specific. A lot of testimonials can end up being or sounding quite generic. Person A was fantastic to work with, and I would highly recommend anyone who wants a project in A, B, C, blah, 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 fall asleep, blah, blah, blah. I think it's much more useful for the person you're leaving a testimonial for to actually be a bit interesting in the testimonial and bring up something highly specific about how that person works or what it was you went to them for. Just put a bit of effort into it, essentially, is what I'm saying. Because if you really want to leave one for someone, you want to be doing them a decent little service rather than...
That leads us very smoothly on to this, which we had in from lovely Lou Major. Hi, Lou. She said, I love to surprise someone with a testimonial. You'll see me jump into action most for people who have gone above and beyond, delivered exemplary service, made my life easier, are a flipping good example, I've paraphrased, flipping good example of how things should be done in a busy and mediocre market. So Lou goes out of her way to give a nice specific testimonial for people who have tried really hard. I like that.
What do you do with testimonials once they come in, Mel?
I go straight into Canva and make it look a little bit branded, little quote, and
You're very good.
slap it on LinkedIn. I don't do it very often though, because as I often say on this show, do as I say, not as I do. I'm not very good at remembering to ask for testimonials. So it's something that I need to get better at. So that's my homework. We try and
get them, and then we're really looking for the one, because we use that testimonial thing and have the LinkedIn feed, which looks great. Go to copyordie.co.uk.
It's on the first page.
It's
on the homepage. You just scroll down a little bit and it'll be there.
Yeah, exactly. You just have to scroll down a bit. We're really only then looking for testimonials for projects that we want to feature in a portfolio. So we've got you can click through to the kind of our work page.
Other copywriting.
And those are the ones then
agencies are available, but you shouldn't use them. You should use Copy or Die.
Yeah, less personality. Then we're looking for ones that we can use within a case study, right? So that then in that case, we do ask for specificity. So we'll say, can you talk about whether it was, you had no idea about how the process worked and we walked you through it, or the creativity involved or something, that kind of thing, because then I want it to match up with the case study. And we've got some good ones, but it's still not always easy to get one from every. So I think there's at least one on the website which doesn't have like a formal testimonial on there, but we've managed to get bits of the conversation from different points in the project and then put them on. And it does work, but I think it's just I don't know, it's so important. It feels a bit thin without it. I think I always think if you see a case study or a portfolio piece that doesn't then have something from the client wrapping it up or just underlining it, it can feel a little bit thin or a bit all from one perspective. So that's what we try and do with them.
See what Dave does.
Then creating content out of them. Now, I feel a bit of an idiot advising on this because I am properly terrible at this because I don't really ask for testimonials anymore, but I know I should. There's one I did recently where I just made it look like the person giving me a testimonial had been held captive by me and I'd forced them to write it. But now that I'm thinking about it, there's loads of different ways you could do it. And I suppose you should do it in a way that it sits right with the content you already create. So now that I'm thinking about it, if I was to create one now, I would possibly deliver it in either like a comic book style potentially, so you kind of tell a story around it. I could film myself reading it out on a fancy chair in an old Jack and Ori style. Or because your podcast is music based, another way I might do one is to create a song out of one. So I've done that just to see how it would work out.
Well, we'll come back to that later. Exciting. That was Joe Glover, by the way, who Dave held hostage. I need to ask him for a testimonial too. I want to just mention as well that you should ask for them, even if you're doing something pro bono. And I think Adrian Ashton emailed in about this, because if you do work for non-profits and do a little bit of pro bono work, unpaid here and there, it's really useful, firstly, to show the value that you're bringing to that organisation, but also to kind of give a bit of peer pressure to other people in your industry who could also be doing that kind of charitable work. And you should ask for testimonials if you're a speaker, if you're doing any other kind of work or marketing around your business. If it's benefiting somebody, you can ask them for a testimonial. If you have a coffee one-to-one with someone with the purpose of helping them with a particular problem they've got, there's no harm in going, I'm actually building up that as a service, doing one-to-ones. Do you mind saying a few words that I can use to show people that the value that I bring? Anywhere where you're being helpful or valuable, I think it's fair play to say, would you mind writing a few words about it?
I don't know if you noticed, Mel, but on the rundown, autocorrect has changed pro bono to bono with a capital B.
Bono.
It's like pro bono, as if you're pro bono. You're supporting the lead singer of U2.
Thank you.
Oh, textbook.
Sorry.
Another, Dave mentions videoing yourself, perhaps, or trying to be creative in the way that you deliver a testimonial to somebody. But there's no reason why you can't ask somebody to do that as well. If your client is willing to, Aaron Buck, friend of the show, sent in this message. If your client's willing to, get them to video themselves reading it out, because then you can use it in multiple ways. As a text post, you can take obviously what they've said and put it in text for your website, but also then you've got the video and you've got the audio. So that gives you loads of opportunities to use it in different ways, website, and then all your different social media channels. Yeah, I think you'd have to find a very willing client for that one. I'm not sure many will be happy to do it. But if they work in videography or if they're in a creative industry, then perhaps more likely to do it. And actually that would be
really impactful.
I think that would be pretty cool. Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay, have we got time to whiz through another few? Oh, this is a genuine question.
I think we have, yeah.
Okay, so Ruth Cedar. Hi, Ruth. She says that she sends a feedback form at the end of a project while the experience is still fresh. And she includes a section for a testimonial. And she's had some really lovely ones that way. I'm not surprised because Rue is a legend. And it's always nice to have them handy for a little motivation on hard days too. And actually, when we were prepping for this, I sent you a document, a Google Doc that I made ages ago of screen grabs where people said nice things about the show that weren't testimonials, just like comments online and stuff. That's nice.
Yeah, I hadn't read that for a long time, and it kind of guaranteed smiles. That was pretty cool. I was really impressed with you asked the question on LinkedIn, and I was really impressed with the answers that came through, because we got plenty of people saying, like us, they find it hard to maybe remember to send them out or to be organized enough to do it. But then there was plenty of people. Sarah Marshall said, I periodically ask for testimonials. At first it was just a general request, but now it's a focused questionnaire designed to give me useful quotes and the opportunity to improve. And I think we talk about, if you're a freelancer or if you work on your own predominantly, how sometimes you can just get into that kind of rut of plodding through your work, can't you? And not really ever doing the things like this, which help you evaluate.
Celebrating a win as
how
well.
You're working, celebrating a win, evaluating what you're doing, looking at ways to get better and improve what you're offering. So I thought that was a really
Can I
good
mention a unique way of proving that social proof that Samantha Harmon, the style editor, brought up? She said that she has an affiliate scheme. So that's one of the ways that she can evidence that people love what she's done, because if somebody rates your work enough that they'd want to be an affiliate, then that's like the biggest compliment. She also pointed out that in her work, she can do a really easy before and after because it's visual. So this is what somebody looked like before, having all this styling and fashion advice of like how to feel most comfortable and at their best. And here's the after shot where they look, confident and glowing. So in her case, the testimonials are likely to be, visual wins rather than text-based. But yeah, I liked the fact she also said she brings people on her podcast, her clients, so they can talk. And that's a fantastic way to get a testimonial and at the same time benefit the client as well by giving them that bit of extra visibility.
Yeah, really good. I think that's an interesting thing to remember as well. I've talked about case studies for us before, but actually, if you're featuring a case study and you're featuring a client testimonial, what you're really hoping to do is not just sum up the work, is it? Like, we did this and then we did this and then we did that. You're trying to show the reader what their life will be like after they've worked with you. So if you can get that in a before and after, I know we don't work in a visual industry like that. We're obviously written words, but that's a really good, I think you can take that into whatever you do, if you're a web designer, there's a good opportunity there, isn't there, to show a before and after of a website. But even as us as writers, you can still show how people spoke or how people were writing before to what there was like after. So you can show those potential future clients what life is like if they come to work with you. Oh, I'm reluctant to say that'll do for today because that's been a really enjoyable show to record. But that will do for today. If you are enjoying the show as much as we are, then there are a few ways you can support us. First, a reminder to head to copywritingconference.com and use the code IBC10, that's IBC10, to get 10% off all tickets for October's copywriting conference, CopyCon.
And in the spirit of testimonials, please give us 5 stars, please, 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 or write a review if you can be bothered. And get our emails. They're at indiebusinessclub.substack.com.
And don't forget, you can buy us a coffee with a £3 contribution at ko-fi.com/indiebusinessclub. And every penny of your kind donation goes to help us keep making the show.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Oh, hang on. I've forgotten about Dave. He's still going. What's he saying?
I'm going to leave you now with it in glorious music form. And I'm going to stop prattling on and leave you to continue with your fine podcast. I love you both. Goodbye.
We love you too, Dave. Bye.
Dave came in and gave hands down the most entertaining and educational live call we've ever hosted in our community. Members were speaking about it for weeks afterwards, and it's regularly referred to as one of the best pieces of content within our library. Couldn't recommend it more. We are definitely gonna be back for round 2. Whoa, couldn't recommend it more. We are definitely gonna be back for round 2. Couldn't recommend it more. We are definitely gonna be back for round 2.
And that's quite enough of that.